Okay, Jenna. Take a question from Jenna.
Jennifer, AP, I know that you have raced under this new point system all season, but have you given any thought to how it could play out come chase time and how it may affect how things go?
Well, it's interesting. You think about every chase, you hear different drivers talk about you can't have the bad finishes. You can't have the bad finishes. Well, this year, you really can't have the bad finishes. And I think if you break down the point system, Jenna, percentage-wise, the penalty now for having a bad race is substantially larger. And that's what it's going to come down to.
Okay, Chuck. I'm sorry, Woody, then Chuck.
Woody came with MRN. Brad, with all the points and things you're considering in the Cup Series, how much of a release and a relief is it to race in the Nationwide Series tonight? A little old-school action under the lights here.
Well, the Nationwide race here has always been kind of a staple of Richmond and the race weekend. It's a great chance for me to learn something and hopefully walk away a little bit better as a driver and prepared. So, I enjoy it for that reason. The races seem to have really changed a lot since the new car's been brought in. So, hopefully there's something to be learned. But we'll have to see. Either way, it's exciting to get a chance to race. I love racing here, and the more opportunities I can have to do that and quality rides, the happier I am.
Chuck, go ahead with your question.
Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. Brad, obviously you're locked into this thing. Be honest with me. A, have you looked forward to Chicago? And B, if you haven't, talk about the opener of this thing next week, what your thoughts are racing at Chicago.
Well, certainly we have our eye on Chicago and ready to go there, as ready as we can be. I wish we had another 2 months to prepare for it, but while still being locked in. As far as Chicago's concerned, should be an interesting race. I think the weather there, it's not much different than where I'm from in Michigan, and I know it's starting to cool off. And I don't think we've ever raced Chicago when it's not 95 degrees and about 95% humidity. So it should be a completely different race than what we've ever seen in Chicago, and I don't know if any of us really know what to expect. So that's going to be a good weekend.
Okay, we'll take a question here in the back and then go to Marty, Jay, and Mike.
Yeah, Dave Fairbank, Newport News Daily Press. Two quick things, Brad. Back here, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
That's all right. What do you attribute your improvement to over the last few months? And second, what's your take on the value of playoff or chase experience?
Well, I guess starting off with attributing the rise that we've had. I think that we've just been able to execute at a really high level, and this sport, I think there's several keys to success. Obviously, you got to have fast race cars and all those things, and I got to have a little bit of luck. But the biggest percentage, of the pie, so to speak, of success here in this sport is to execute. And we've done that very well over the last few weeks. We have decent speed, probably not the best speed, but, a top 10 speed. And we're executing at above top 10 level. So, I think that's been our strength. We've figured out how to execute better. What was the other question? Oh, experience. Yeah, experience. I think that each chase is different when you look at it. Each year is different of who the players are. And sometimes experience can be, good. Sometimes you can learn from it and know what you need. And then there's some years where it can be bad. You build up those preconceived notions. So, with the new point standings being what they are, and some of the things that we've seen change over the sport, I don't feel like I'm at that large of a deficit not having chase experience. So, I'm not concerned about it.
Okay, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Brad, there's a whole lot of people who know a whole lot about racing who consider you and Paul championship contenders now. There have been great race teams who many of us thought were going to supplant the 48, and they failed because of the mental challenge is so taxing when you get to that 10-race playoff. Is the two mentally, mature enough as a group to really challenge for a title, in your opinion, where you guys stand right now?
That's a really good question and a really good point. The 48 is, perhaps the mentally strongest team there is out there. I don't think anyone would argue that. And they have speed. And I think that's a lethal combination because, when you have the mental focus that they have, you can execute, like we talked about earlier. And when you have speed, that's That's 2 of the 3 parts of the pie, and the third one being a little bit of luck. So they've had that too over the last few years. I think with the exception of wrecking out at Talladega in 06, they've been able to get out of the wild card races without getting wrecked. And so they got all 3 pieces of the pie. Certainly nobody knows if they'll have the luck pie this year too, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for anyone to beat them. But as far as time's concerned, eventually they got to lose one, right? Eventually it's got to happen. But as far as we're at with our team, I'm trying not to focus or prepare on just the 48. I think that's where everybody screws up personally. But as far as we're at, I think we have a realistic shot. The one piece that I see that we need to get better at, we need to be just a little bit faster to run with the 24. Obviously, he's got the fastest race cars right now, and I feel like we can execute at a very high level and have the mental focus that it takes to win the championship where we're at right now. I really do.
Okay, next question from Jay, then we'll go to Mike.
Jay Penel, SB Nation. You just kind of answered that a little bit, but you talked about your continued growth. You feel like you need to make another step and able to contend for the championship. But what are those? What are the parts that you need to grow on personally and as a team to make that next step to compete?
Well, I make it a point to not comment directly on what we need in specific areas to improve, but we just need to continue the rate of growth that we have. And each year that I've been doing this at the Cup and nationwide level, I feel like I've been able to grow just a little bit here and a little bit there. And sometimes it's pronounced like it's been over the last few months, and sometimes it's not. And I think the areas that you'll see that we need to improve on to be a championship team are perhaps the more or less pronounced areas, I should say. And so that's the key for us, I believe. But I make it a point to not go into specifics.
Okay, we'll take a question from Mike, then final question from Dustin.
Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. The last couple of years, it looks like the first 2 races of the chase, guys that actually contend for the title, let things happen and don't try to force the issue. I mean, Kyle Busch a couple of years ago, and then Tony Stewart running out of gas and all that. You don't want to screw up the first 2 races and take yourself out of the next couple of months. Is that the way you're going to play it? And the second thing is, how many bad races can you expect to have? Are you saying you need to have 10 really decent races and no bad races at all, or 1 bad race or 2 bad races?
Well, I guess to answer the last part, I think first you have to define what's a bad race. And a bad race to me is pretty much anything 20th or worse. And I think if you have one race worse than 20th, you're done. That's just the way the new point system is. So that's how I feel about that. And you're asking about getting off on the right foot. I think that's the whole key to the chase. But you can overthink it all you want, and try not to do that. And like I said, if we can just do what we've done over the last 10 races and not focus on all the hoopla, we'll be fine.
Okay, final question from Dustin.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. You said you think everyone screws up by focusing on the 48. Why so, and how have you seen that in your time?
Well, I mean, I don't think we've seen anyone with the mental composure that the 48 has. And, I don't believe in playing to other people's strengths. I play to their weaknesses. And that's kind of where I was going with that.
Okay, Brad, thank you very much for your time this morning. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
What is Jimmy's weakness? Where is his weakness?